The next Sunday we celebrate the appearance of Lord Nrsimha. Nrsimha Chaturdasi. And the disappearance of the disappearance of
the iconic Rath Yatra, Jayananda Prabhu.
but also the disappearance of Hiranyakasipu. That's going together. Not that we celebrate that in some way, we celebrate that also. But Hiranyakasipu was the perfect demon. And his son was a perfect devotee, a pure devotee. It didn't go well together. But so in preparation for Lord Nrsimha's appearance, one of the reasons why he appeared was to give protection to Prahlad Maharaj. Therefore, this evening we will hear from Prahlad Maharaj. When he was 5 years old, if he went to the school, his teachers were Sanda and Amarka, were sons of Sukracharya. Sukracharya, he was the Karmakanda specialist. How to do pious activities and enjoy and go to the heavenly planets. And so Sukracharya, he became also the spiritual master of the demons, because that is what they want to enjoy. And he gave them enjoyment in a pious way. But his sons were Sanda and Amarka, and they were school teachers in the Gurukul. But they were school teachers for all the princes, of the royal order. And he was teaching them that how to rule and divide the kingdom, how to deal with enemies and make friends, diplomacy. Prahlad Maharaj is not like that. It's friends and enemies. So internally, Prahlad was always absorbed in the teachings he received from his spiritual master. Who was the spiritual master of Prahlad Maharaj? Narada Muni. In the Bhagavatam, there are also other disciples of Narada Muni in the Bhagavatam. Who? Dhruva Maharaj. Who else?
Yes.
Srila Vyasa. Yeah. So Prahlad Maharaj is a little special because he will teach his schoolmates, because he didn't like much his teachings of his teachers, and during the break he was teaching all the other schoolmates how to perform kirtan. And during the break, Prahlad Maharaj gave class. And there's a whole chapter of what is said in one class. So today we will all sit in the class of Prahlad Maharaj and hear from him. And he gives us transcendental knowledge. And because he says to his schoolmates, if you believe in my words, accept them as the truth, you believe in my words, then you can also understand transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge is knowledge which is understood not by the brain, not by our mundane intellect. It's understood to the heart by surrender to the spiritual master. In the heart is the soul. Within the soul is the super soul. The super soul gives you the realization when you have faith in the spiritual master and follow his instructions. That is what Prahlad Maharaj says to his schoolmates. And all his schoolmates have faith in him. And they become all devotees. Hiranyakashipu did not like that. Now we will hear from the Bhagavatam, the 7th canto, chapter 6, text 1. Let's first start with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudirayat. Nastapesya Bhadrasu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavat Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Now the words of Prahlad. Shiprarat Uvacha. Kaumara Acharet Prahyo Dharmam Bhagavatam Iha. Dulabam Manusham Chamyam Tapya Dhruvam Artadam. Prahlad Maharaj speaks this verse and says to his schoolmates, one who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. In other words, from the tender age of childhood, to practice the activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagement. The human body is most rarely achieved, although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful because in human life, one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of some sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. The purport by A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. The whole purpose of Vedic civilization and of reading the Vedas is to attain the perfect stage of devotional service in the human form of life. According to the Vedic system, therefore, from the very beginning of life, the brahmacharya system is introduced so that from one's very childhood, from the age of 5 years, one can practice modifying one's human activities so as to engage perfectly in devotional service. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Svalpamapyasa dharmasya trayato mato bhayat. Even a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Modern civilization, not referring to the verdicts of Vedic literature, is so cruel to the members of human society that instead of teaching children to become brahmacharis, It teaches mothers to kill their children, even in the womb, on the plea of curbing the increase of population. And if by chance a child is saved, he is educated only for sense gratification. Sadly, throughout the entire world, human society is losing interest in the perfection of life. Indeed, men are living like cats and dogs, spoiling the duration of their human lives by actually preparing to transmigrate again to the degraded species of among the 8,400,000 forms of life. The Krishna consciousness movement is anxious to serve human society by teaching people to perform devotional service, which can save a human being from being degraded again to animal life. As already stated by Prahlad Maharaj, a Bhagavad Dharma consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pata, Sevanam, Archanam, Vanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. In all the schools, colleges, and universities, and at home, all children and youth should be taught to hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, they should be taught to hear the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, to put them in practice into their lives, and thus to become strong in devotional service, free from fear of being degraded to animal life. Following Bhagavad Dharma has been made extremely easy in this age of Kali. The Shastra says, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Kalam Nasteva 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 Gatiranyata. One need only to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Everyone engaged in the practice of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra will be completely cleansed from the core of his heart and be saved from the cycle of birth and death. The verse again. Shipraratu vacha kamara achrit prachyo dharmam bhagavatam yam dulapam manashamcham yam tapyaduvan achtadam. Prahlad Maharaj said, one who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. In other words, from the tender age of childhood, to practice activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagements. The human body is most rarely achieved and although temporary like other bodies. It is meaningful because in human life one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. Om Ajnana Tamrandasya Jnanjana Shanaka Sakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svam Rupakadamayam Dadati Svam Padantikam Vandeham Shri Shri Yuda Padakamalam Shigam Vaishnavam Sham Shri Rupam Sagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parjana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shivishakam Vitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Chatpate Gopesha Gopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanshna Gaurangi Radhe Vinna Vaneshwari Vishabhani Siddha Devi Pranamama Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatabhyasha Kepas Nibhavisha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Nama Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Jinam. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravanya Pacharani Nirvishesha Sinyavadi Paskachani Desatani. Srila Prabhupada ki. So, Pralatma Achat Kaumara Achet Prachyo Dharmam Bhagavatam Iha. That Kaumara, from a young age, one should practice devotional service. Kaumara is 5 years. That because Durlabam Manusham Janma, Durlabam, this Manusham Janma, this human form of life is Durlabha, is very rarely obtained. After going to a cycle of 8,400,000 species, finally we get the human form of life. That and Palatma said, yes, his body is temporary. It can go every moment. But it is only meaningful when you use your human life when you use your human life for devotional service. That Srila Prabhupada, he was once he arrived, I think in Los Angeles, after a long drive. When they arrived there, he saw an old man playing with balls. Prabhupada became very angry. Said, why are they losing their time? That every moment of our life, every moment not engaged for spiritual advancement is misuse of our time. That and that's important because every moment we don't use in Krishna consciousness, we use in becoming more attached to this material body. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that 3:16 Bhagavad Gita, if one lives only for the pleasure of the senses, he lives for nothing. The Bible it said, what profited a man if he gains the whole world but loses his eternal soul, or the consciousness of his eternal soul? That therefore, it's so important that we use our human form every moment to make spiritual advancements. That because we are controlled by material nature. That's at length explained in Bhagavad Gita. That the Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva tells Narada Muni, Tashaivaita prayate kovido nalapyate yad brahmatam yuparyatam. Tashaivaita prayate kovido nalapyate yad brahmatam yuparyatam. I forget the third and first verse. But this verse says that one should not use one's human form of life just to seek happiness in this world, a happiness for the senses and the body. That tashebaita payotete kovido nalapyote tam yoparyotan. Talapyote duka van anyatus kan kalina savadre kabir ramasan. So Srila Vyasadeva said, don't lose your time with trying to seek happiness in this world. Because that happiness that you are seeking in this world will come on its own accord. Like distress comes on its own accord. Does someone want distress? No. But it comes. That's your karma. You get this body, and you get your karma. And your karma is fixed at birth, your happiness and distress you will get in this life. That's who is the father of Srila Vyasadeva? Who is the father of Srila Vyasadeva? Nobody knows? All Indians should know that. Who is Parasara Muni? Yeah. And Parasara Muni, he wrote a Shastra. Briyat Parashara Hora Shastra. That's about Jyotis, astrology. Astrology is only the calculation of your karma. You cannot change it. So don't try to get happiness for the body and the senses in this life. Don't try to get happiness from family life, from children. It's all temporary things. And the happiness that you are destined, you will get anyway. And the distress you can't avoid. It's fixed. So, Srila Vyasadeva said, don't waste your time with that. You must seek in that world, in this world, the happiness, spiritual happiness. And that's our duty. Because the spirit soul is meant for happiness, but not the happiness of the body. The soul has nothing to do with the body. It's now engaged in it because we have become attached. So one should seek for that happiness which is not available from the lowest to the highest planet in this universe. That is what Srila Vyasadeva says. And that's the happiness of the soul. What is that happiness of the soul? That in the Vedanta Sutra, it's mentioned that the spirit soul is meant for pleasure, but not the pleasure of this world. What is that pleasure of the soul? We know pleasure of the body and the distress of the body. But what is the pleasure of the soul? To experience that, we must change our consciousness. We are the soul, the symptom is consciousness. And Krishna consciousness is pure consciousness, that's all. That's our original consciousness, or the spirit soul. But now this consciousness has become contaminated by the material modes of nature, passion and ignorance. And passion and ignorance make you identify with this body and run after the illusory pleasures of this body. And when we run after it, we lose our time. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj said, don't lose your time. Go for the pleasure, eternal pleasure of the soul, not these temporary pleasures. Every moment you can be out of this body. Every moment. And life is short. That's what Prahlad Maharaj says, it's short. Be sure, it's short. Yesterday, I was 5 years old, now I'm 65. It's gonna go so quick, so quick. Before you know, you are out of this body. Therefore, use every moment of your life to make spiritual advancement. That So this spiritual pleasure, also in the fifth canto of the Bhagavatam, King Rishabhadev, a self-realized person, instructs his 100 sons and says, don't run after the pleasures for the body. This eating, sleeping, sex, whatever, because that same pleasure is experienced by the animals. He said, don't do that, but perform the austerities of devotional service. Perform the austerities of devotional service to obtain the eternal happiness of the soul. And what is that eternal happiness of the soul? To understand what this eternal happiness of the soul is, one must understand first one's identity. And Prahlad Maharaj said, only those who are intelligent can understand it. Only those who can understand devotional service. When I did my PhD at University of Wales, PhD in Indian religions, studied a lot of Indian religions. Then there were great scholars, and they could quote from Bhagavad Gita so many knowledge, but none of them could understand that they are not a body. That was not possible. They could not understand. And that's the first lesson in spiritual life. If we don't understand that we are not a body, then you cannot practice spiritual life. But we understand the spirit soul is a small spark of Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mamaivam Sochivela Keshiva Bhutanasana. It's an eternal separated spark of Krishna. And we are of the same quality of Krishna. Krishna, the absolute truth, Krishna is made of Satchitananda, eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. And we are Satchitananda. We are eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, but the material body is just the opposite. is temporary, full of misery and ignorance. And we identify with the body. But we are higher energy. The body is lower energy. We should not identify with the lower energy. We are the higher energy, and we have the power to transcend this illusion. But we have forgotten. We have forgotten because our consciousness is influenced by this passion and ignorance. I want to enjoy. I want to smoke dope or whatever. And there you go, in deep ignorance. And that creates lust. En lust, Krishna says, Avitam Jnanam Etana Jnanina Nitya Varna Kamrupena Kantya Dushpranana Lenasya. This lust covers your spiritual intelligence. You cannot understand that you are not the body. And you lose your time. We've given pleasure to the body, and then you are out of the body. We think my family, my children, that's everything. Yes. For now. Previous life, it was also everything. And the life before, it was also everything. Where is our attachment to our family of our previous life? It's gone. This attachment kills the soul, the awareness of the soul. But to come out of it, that because as a spirit soul, we are very tiny. And on our own power, we cannot get out of it. It's not possible. We need to connect with the higher power to get out of it. And that is what Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. Mahatmanas Tumaparta Devim Pragatim Ashrita. The Mahatma knows how to connect with the spiritual energy. Take refuge of the Devi Prakriti is the spiritual energy. Energy comes from the energetic. Energetic is Krishna. And he has a spiritual energy. So this spiritual energy is the way to connect with Krishna. The spiritual energy, the energetic is Krishna, and the energy is Srimati Radharani. We have to connect with through Srimati Radharani to Krishna. There's no other way. And how do we connect with it? Prabhupada explains in the purport. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Satatam kirtyantamam yatanta shadritavata. Satatam means always. Satatam kirtyantamam. Kirtan. Always kirtan, always glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's a process by which the soul connects with Krishna. And when you are connected with him with devotional service, then we become healthy, purified from this passion and ignorance. And healthy, we come to our pure consciousness again. And our pure consciousness is transcendental consciousness. So how to transcend this material consciousness? Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Mamsayo vyabhacharana bhaktiyorna sevate sagodam samatitshaitam brahma bhuyaya kalpate. By pure devotional service, ananya bhakti, pure devotional service, one immediately transcends the modes of nature. So What is pure devotional service? Dat is dharmam bhagavatamiham. Bhagavad Dharma. Bhagavad Dharma is pure devotional service. Because that is the constitutional position of the soul. Everyone in the spiritual world is not really Krishna conscious. Because this Krishna consciousness is devotional. Devotion means love. So, what Prahlad Maharaj is teaching here is Bhagavad Dharma, how to develop pure love. What is pure love? Pure love means I will do everything to please the beloved, even sacrificing myself. I ask nothing in return. I just give. That is pure love. So how to develop this pure love? Because that is what we all want. We want to love and be loved. But do we attain that in this world? Not really. That is just a dream to be loved and loved. We think, oh, she loves me. And 10 years later, you have another idea. Because it's all about sense gratification. No, spiritual relationships are different. Spiritual relations are based on only giving. And if you give, you will also receive. If you give everything to Krishna, Krishna will give you ecstatic love. And that's the greatest pleasure. This ecstatic love, that is our constitutional position. Everyone in the spiritual world experiences this constant love, this great ecstasy. But to come to that point, we must purify ourselves, trying to connect with the absolute truth. And therefore, Prahlad Maharaj zegt, Shravana Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pardasevanam Archanam Vandam Dasyam Sakyam Atmani Vednam. Says Bhagavad Dharma, that this is Bhagavad Dharma, 9 forms of devotional service. Hearing about Krishna, speaking about Krishna, remembering Krishna, serving the lotus feet of Krishna, worshipping the deity of Krishna, praying to Krishna, and become the servant of Krishna, become the friend of Krishna, and surrender completely to Krishna. It's 9 forms of devotional service. They are described in 7.5.23 of the Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada writes to explain these 16 forms of devotional service. He writes 16 pages of commentaries on that one verse. It's the biggest commentary in the Bhagavatam. That it's so important that we learn how to practice devotional service. But we must become like the students of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj teaches his schoolmates and says to his schoolmates, if you have faith in my words, you can also understand spiritual knowledge. If you have faith in the words of the spiritual master, we can also understand. But without spiritual master, you cannot understand. It's not possible, because spiritual understanding is a mystical process to the heart that Tesham satayuktam vacham pidabhuvkam dadami buddhyogam tam yena mamupyantite. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if you serve me with a little love, then from within the heart, I give you self-realized knowledge, Buddha Yoga. And how does he do that? Explained in the next verse. Tesham evanakampurtam amajnana chamtama nasa jamatma bhavastu jnana dipane bhashvata. With the jnana dipane, penna, with the torch of knowledge, I'm going into the heart of the devotee and cleanses removes all the ignorance. Because that spiritual knowledge is in our soul, but it's covered over. So Krishna removes the covering, the ignorance that it covers, the passion and ignorance. And Geldi we realize. So it's realized knowledge. But it can only be obtained through Tatvinyapanapatna, Pariprashna, Sivya protection to take Namkana, Stat production. You must take shelter of a spiritual master, inquire from him, serve him, and in a humble way. And when you do that, Krishna says, Yat-Yatvana Punarmam Evan Yasyasipandava Yena Bhutani Ashisani Dakshasi Atmati Atomai. Then you start to see that everyone is not his body, but the soul. And you see the soul and the super soul in every living entity. So then your life changes. You don't want to kill animals anymore. That you know, you get an understanding that Apshatas Pabhyosha Fabyo Papakitama Savangana Plavena Vichnam Sundasha. Then you come on the boat of transcendental knowledge. And you will be able to cross over the ocean of material suffering. Because this body is a machine to give you suffering, that's all. So my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Maharaj, he said that many times. That do you realize this body is a machine to give you trouble? And that is what it is. Well, but what pleasure will you get from your liver or your stomach or of your gallbladder? Nothing. It's only trouble. It's a machine to give you trouble. Every moment it can be finished. And Krishna is in the heart. He decides when, according to your karma, then you are going to leave that the devotees in Germany. That was somewhere in the 70s, 80s. They were doing kirtan in Hamburg on the streets, and that Harinam. But of course, Hamburg is a harbor area, and they were close to the area of prostitution. And out of one of these brothels came a very strong man, like, I don't know, 300 kg, very big. And he was drunken, and he started to roar. And he was running towards the devotees, like to kill them. really was running towards them. And the devotees were chanting Hare Krishna, and then they started to chant Namaste Narasimhaya. And they started to pray to Lord Nrsimhadev. And the man was 10 meters from them. He got a heart attack and fell down. Finished. Krishna decides when your moment is there. We are not in control. Krishna is in control. So this life is very temporary. All these relationships are temporary. Relationships are useful, he says. Prahlad says, this life is useless. It's useful, and these relations are useful if they help you in spiritual advancement. You cannot make spiritual advancement without association of devotees. It's not possible. You are alone, Maya will get you. That you are alone with your mind, which is your greatest enemy. Maya will get you. My Guru Maharaj always says, get one stick, easy to break, but many sticks together cannot break. Then Maya cannot get us. Therefore, it's important that you all come together very regularly, just to have kirtan and discuss the scriptures and discuss how to make advancement. Especially, what is the book that explains this Shravana Kirtan Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam, the manual of devotional service? What is that book?
Nectar of Devotion.
Bhakti Rasamrita Sundar, Nectar of Devotion. Who wrote it? Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami wrote also a summary of Nectar of Devotion, and that is called Upadeshamrita. And in the beginning, this Upadeshamrita gives the process in 11 verses. Complete the process. And we should discuss the process. Devotional service is a process with stages, from Shraddha to Prema. It starts with Shraddha. You have some faith, and that's also what Prahlad says. If you have faith in my words, then faith, Shraddha, and then Sadhu Sangha. You have to associate with devotees. Otherwise, you cannot make advancement on a regular basis. In the 70s, by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, was, when he was there, joining ISKCON was joining the temple. When you were living outside, you were not a devotee. But who lives in the temple now? Temple's empty. Only in India, a few brahmacharis, but otherwise empty. But you must come together to speak about Krishna. And discuss how can we apply this knowledge very seriously and share your difficulties with one another and discuss it. Sadhu Sangha. Because if you have Sadhu Sangha, then you will be inspired for Bhajana Kriya. The practice of devotional service, having a sadhana. The sadhana is chanting rounds, follow principles, and performing regulated devotional service, deity worship, and so on. We must do that, and we must learn how to do that. Otherwise, we cannot make spiritual advancement. Because that regulated sadhana is important. Because in the spiritual world, there is no sadhana. Everyone is spontaneously loving Krishna. That's what they do, serving Krishna in the spiritual world, Lord Narayan of his expansions, but they are only serving Krishna. Because they have love, they have attraction, great attraction. But we don't have attraction. We have attraction for sense gratification. So therefore, our devotional service is not real devotional service. It's like a mother. A mother has a daughter, 5 years old, and she has bought for the daughter a toy kitchen. And the little child is imitating the mother with her toy kitchen, a pan with plastic chapati, and she's imitating the mother. That is regulated devotional service. We are imitating. It's not real because devotional service, the devotion is not yet there. Only action with the senses, and there is the will to please the spiritual master. And that's very important because Krishna says, Tesham satayuktam bhajam pitapurvakam. If you perform a devotion service with a little love, the Dhammi, I give you realization to the heart. But this pitapurvakam, this little love, even we don't have that. We don't know what love is. We think love, something between a boy and a girl. That's lust. We don't know what love is. Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 4, chapter 3. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has a whole chapter explaining the difference between love and lust. But to understand love for Krishna, one can only understand it if one is in Visuddha Sattva, in pure Krishna consciousness, when one is liberated. Then you can understand. But by following the spiritual master and imitating, so as the child, the mother imitates, Krishna is pleased. And when Krishna is pleased, he accepts it as a little love. And then we become purified. But it has to go to the spiritual master. Or not only the spiritual master, also senior devotees who are more advanced than you are your Siksha Guru. So we follow their instructions. Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya. And then if we follow that sincerely, after Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti. The heart starts to become purified. If you do that for a few years, 5 to 10 years, you will enter Anartha Nivritti. Mostly not in the beginning. The first 5 years is mostly nonsense. We think we are already a pure devotee. But then when you become purified, then you start to realize, what a nonsense I am. How does a pure devotee think? One of my spiritual masters is Bhujan Prabhu, a Prabhupada disciple who started temples in Hong Kong. And Prabhupada visited them at that time, but he was teaching me the Bhagavatam. He's practicing now devotional service for practice 60 years. Someone asked him, are you liberated? Are you self-realized? That was the question. Are you self-realized? And Bhujam Prabhu said, yes, I realized I'm a complete nonsense. That's the realization we need. That humility is the key. And that humility must grow sincerely. And then you come to Nishta. And Nishta is the borderline. Your heart is completely purified after 30, 40, 50 years. And then this natural attraction for Krishna, this devotion appears in the heart. And you become attracted, ruchi. And then you come in contact with Krishna in your heart. You feel Krishna every moment in your heart. That's also what Yudhishthira Maharaj said to Vidura after 30 years of pilgrimage of Vidura. He welcomed him with the words, yes, you are carrying Krishna in your heart. And then bhava, love, starts to develop, spiritual love, and prema. So that is ecstasy of the soul. Then you don't, when you develop love for Krishna, you become like a drunken man. A drunken man doesn't know whether he wears clothes or not. One who is in prema, love for Krishna, he's not aware that he has a material body, because he identifies with his spiritual body. And at the time of death, he loses the gross body and goes to the spiritual world in his spiritual body. But it is up to us. If we think everything in this world is so important, I have to do this and that, and I will chant later. That will not happen. Because you have to purify your heart. You have to go to these stages, and that takes time. But even a little advancement will protect you against the greatest danger. In the sixth canto, you have Ajamil. He started devotional service at the time he was dying. He had a near-death experience, but he got it also. But we should not wait. Follow instructions of Prahlad Maharaj every moment. We need each other. Devotees who are trying to serve Krishna together, they develop friendship with each other. And that's not ordinary friendship. Because it's different from material friendship. Material friendship is, yes, you give to me and I take from you. That's mostly. But in spiritual friendship, there is no motivation to exploit each other, but to serve each other. A complete different world. The world of the devotees and the world of the materialistic people. But Prahlad Maharaj is one of the Madhyans, 12 Madhyans in the Bhagavatam. He's our teacher. And this verse is very important. It's the beginning. It's a chapter full with instructions on how to perform devotional service. And very, very powerful. And we should take advantage of the scriptures and discuss them. By that we can make advancement. Any question or comments? Yes, please.
Which was that verse for the 16-page, the longest report that was?
7:5:23. 23, 24, 25, I think. Yeah. This is very important verse. Yeah. Yes.
You mentioned that like by doing service without pure love, we just
Imitate.
imitate it. So, but still, it's a process of purifying and developing pure love, right?
Yeah, we are imitating. We are performing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Vaidhi means we are following regulations given to us by the spiritual master. It's called therefore regulated devotional service. We follow his instructions, that Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. And by that we are pleasing the spiritual master. By pleasing the spiritual master, who is the spiritual master? Is the representative of Krishna. By pleasing the spiritual master, Krishna is pleased. If Krishna is pleased, he purifies our heart. It is by the mercy of the spiritual master, we perform this regulated devotional service and we become purified. And to the point we become, how do you know you become purified? Because you become attracted to Krishna. That's a sign. You get more and more taste in devotional service. If you don't get taste, something is wrong. You get taste, and by that taste, gradually, you make spiritual advancement, and attraction for Krishna grows. And if the attraction for Krishna grows, what happens? That you become, the more attracted to Krishna, the more detached you become from this world and from sense gratification. That's the same. Becoming attracted to Krishna is detached from this world. Rupa Goswami has written a verse, I forgot the Sanskrit, but he said, don't go to see this boy in with his three-banded form, with his flute at Keshigat. Don't go to see him, because all your love for society and this world will be finished. That's a warning. That's a good blessing. Lord Chaitanya was traveling in South India, and there was, I don't know the details, but one Brahmin cursed Lord Chaitanya that you will never be able to enjoy sense gratification. That was the curse. And Lord Chaitanya was so happy. Thank you. I forgot. But that's either in the Bhagavatam or of Chaitanya Bhagavat, but it's the, I was very happy with this curse. That, that's a blessing. Yes. Does that help?
I just want to clarify one more. What is the nature of this taste? The taste for relationship with Krishna, which comes after, like, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti?
Taste means attraction to the practice of devotional service and attraction to Krishna, which increases. Like you chant the holy name and you get taste, you want to stop, you don't want to stop anymore because it gives you so much pleasure that you cannot stop doing it. That is taste. Of course, that doesn't appear as such But devotees, even in the beginning, they have somewhat this taste from the beginning. Many devotees, they become devotees and they only want the books of Prabhupada, all the other books out, and only Krishna Prasad, nothing else anymore. That meat, fish, eggs, no taste anymore. Yeah, only taste for Krishna Prasad. So that's the beginning of this taste. But it grows, that taste, until you come to the point that you cannot live with Krishna if you are not chanting his holy name. That if you are not connected with Krishna in devotional service, because you feel the separation of Krishna grows, feelings of separation. That's Lord Chaitanya's philosophy. That he experienced always these feelings of separation of Krishna because he was in the mood of Srimad Radharani. He felt always that separation. That the mood of Srimad Radharani is explained in Asisya Vapadamritam Pinastam Mama Dakshnam Marma Artam Karodeva. That so this verse says, Srimad Radharani says, yes, whether you, Krishna, break my heart by being present of me or not being present of me, you can break my heart, you can destroy me, you can do with me what you want, that you can make me broken-hearted, still I will love you. And that is the point. But these are higher realizations. But in the beginning, we have little taste. And that's the beginning. And that drives us further into devotional service. But to get that taste, you must be pure in your intention. We may be not, we may have many material desires, but your intention to please Krishna must be pure. Just to please Krishna. I'm chanting the holy names not to feel good. That's not good. I'm chanting the holy names as a service to Krishna, to please him. And therefore I pronounce these names with love and very clearly, just as an offering of love to Krishna. Someone asked Bhakti Charamaj, my Guru Maharaj, what does it mean, chanting Hare Krishna? He said, chanting Hare Krishna means saying to Krishna, I love you. Is it difficult? It's very simple. But we have become complicated. That we want so many philosophy and so many things, but it's simple for the simple. That Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think we are over time for Prasad. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.